Hi everyone, it's Jason back with another edition of NextGen Express. We're here at the Commercial UAV Expo, and we are here with a great guest. And I'm very excited to talk with our next guest, Andreas Ploier. Ploier. Fair. Everyone messes up my last name too, so fair's fair. And we're going to be talking about drone rescue systems. But you know what? Y'all know me by now. I like to start with just a funny, thought-provoking, lighthearted question. So, Andreas, I have a question. So, what is sort of like the most sort of over-the-top, you could think sci-fi, you can think like pseudo-reality, otherworldly safety feature you wish you could add to a drone?
Bird wings. Bird wings. They would never crash down. But on the other hand, that's why we are here as a drone parachute company.
Bird wing. But wait, like just the wings, or like?
The flight capability would be nice as well. Otherwise, it's just flopping around to the side.
Fair. Good. Okay. So let me just ask. So we'll just dive right in. So how effective are parachutes in ensuring drone flight safety?
I often compare drone parachutes to the automotive industries. Back in the 60s, for example, you could buy a car without a seatbelt or an airbag in the car. Now it's impossible to buy a car without a seatbelt or an airbag. This is exactly where the drone industry is heading, but in this case with a parachute. And the best example to give you an idea what the effectiveness is. If an M300, for example, would crash down out of 50 meters, 150 feet, would come down with kinetic impact force of nearly 5,000 joules. That would kill a person.
It would for sure.
With our system, it comes down with 60 joules. And the big difference is, in one scenario you're dead, in the other scenario you're scared, but we even have a loud acoustical signal, so you would move away. So not even that would happen normally. So that's the big difference in the effectiveness of a drone parachute.
That's a huge difference. And I like that you use the example of the automotive industry. It makes a lot of sense for the viewers, the audience, for Christian in Wisconsin. We really just have, there's a lot of folks that don't really have a clue about what the drone industry is doing that are outside of the industry. So making analogies to industries that people understand, huge, absolutely huge. And even here, they're like, oh, cool, drone parachute. Sure, like making sure, like understanding that this is going to be something that, the industry is never going away, parachutes are never going away, and it's likely just going to become more and more required as time goes on.
Exactly.
That is fantastic. Well, it's good that you're well positioned and you've been doing this for a little while, so it's good that you guys have these available. So I'm just curious, so are there sort of any other, we're talking about backup plans here, are there any sort of other backup plans that are typical for drone operations?
I mean, even the cheapest drones themselves already have some backup ideas behind it. Okay. They have maybe a redundant flight controller. They are an octocopter and a quadrocopter, for example. They have a flyaway option to prohibit, for example. So there are a lot of different kind of options. But if we really think about where the industry is on the one hand already now heading and will be heading in the next couple of years even more, is we talk about definitely always flying beyond visual line of sight, flying in urban areas, flying over people. There you need to have a really sophisticated, reliable solution. And this is where we, for example, as drone rescue systems are coming in now with our parachute safety solution, because a parachute solution needs to work in a worst potential scenario. Flying beyond visual line of sight, flying over people, and every component of the drone has a malfunction at the same time. And in this scenario, the parachute is basically the only real option that are out there that will help you. But if you look about the overall industry, we work with so many, especially drone delivery companies together. There are more and more different kind of technologies that are synchronized together as a safety measurement. And you need to have this to really have a reliable overall system.
I'm glad that you mentioned sort of the overall sort of cooperative, I almost call it cooperation. Like it's a little bit of competition, a little bit of cooperation.
I think it's the right word, yeah.
I think so. I think the industry is ripe with it, of cooperation all over the place, because honestly, what I've seen over the last more than a decade now is that this is massive blue ocean. The industry is so fledgling that people ask about who are your competitors, blah, blah, blah. My answer is always, there's really not any. Like they don't really exist. We're in we're in oceans, but we're in two different oceans.
Yeah.
So like we're massive ships in different oceans. So like there's an opportunity for everyone because we're just so new and we're figuring things out.
Perfectly said. Exactly that's the case.
Absolutely, this is how it works. So like, so are there sort of like, not everything works all the time. Not everything works all the time. Are there any sort of like scenarios where sort of like traditional safety mechanisms, just like parachutes, they're not the most effective option?
Yes, of course. If you look about the different kind of applications, for example, for a agriculture flight, where the drone is flying in 10 meters, 30 feet of height, the parachute won't bring you anything. On the other hand, that's not the application where you should buy a parachute. I mean, I'm happy if you buy a parachute,
sure,
but it's not the right application for it. Other applications like drone delivery, first response, they need to have them on board. But if you look about the different kind of applications, you really need to be realistic. If you're flying with a small drone to do a specific flight, with an inspection maybe under a bridge or so, those are applications that are so huge and so important, and drones can provide value like no other technology maybe. There's not always a parachute needed for it, or in general, other safety measurements are not always needed for that. Of course, that's not the application that we as drone parachute company are focusing on. But the good thing is that the drone industry is now trying to find applications in nearly every kind of industry, because what can they do? They can make basically everything faster, easier, cheaper, and more efficiently. And that's what the drone industry is here for.
Yeah, it's super fun. So I do a lot of STEM camps as well for students, and it's just fun to tell them that you would be hard-pressed to find any industry, name it, whatever, where drones are not currently being used and making massive strides, or they're definitely thinking about it and they're testing and they're in the evaluation stages. Like almost nothing. And they're like, oh, well, what about blah, blah, blah? It's like, oh, IKEA, cool. Yeah, yep, no, they're using drones too. What? Like it just blows their mind. And like, but that's what I want people to understand, is that it's continuing to expand because it is such a transformative, disruptive technology.
Yeah.
So keeping people safe is always number one. Like whenever you're trying to understand this industry, and whenever operators, drone service providers, larger integrators, enterprises, when they're talking about anything, it is only great. You can get safe, you can get data, cool. Can you do it safely?
Exactly.
If you can't, I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. But this is where the industry is now currently evolving. We just had the conversation before the interview, basically, where we said, okay, the industry is moving so rapidly, but it's so young that even a lot of the established drone companies don't have currently the level of quality management, or documentation that we maybe use from the automotive industry or the medical industry.
Of course.
But this is the industry is basically growing a little bit too fast, but it's a good chance as well currently for everyone.
It is.
For example, we are now by far the world's market-leading drone parachute company in the world. We sold this year unbelievable volumes, and especially in the drone delivery industry. And now we're selling volumes where we thought of 2 years ago, wow, this will be maybe happening in 2036 or so. But this is how you see how fast everything is going, especially in the drone delivery industry. Nobody thought that in 2020, before COVID, the delivery industry will take off like this. Now we as a company are really thousands of units are out. So that's a huge number.
We call that all gas, no parachute. Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. This industry is literally all gas, no brakes, which is, there's opportunities to maybe pump the brakes a little bit, maybe pop a parachute. Yeah, there's opportunity there. Maybe we can do that on the documentation side. That'd be a really good idea. So what's on the horizon? So like what sort of innovations are sort of like on the horizon for drone flight safety?
I think the most important thing is that the different kind of technologies are just getting more reliable, or just getting to the next level. I think that's really the most important thing, because we have so many different kind of technologies and layers on every level currently. But it needs to simply go to the next level. So I know it's always more fancy to talk about the newest product, the newest technology and idea, and we're working a lot of different kind of stuff. But for us currently, with the position that we are in the industry, the most important thing is that we are just known as for example, as the best, you know, when it comes to reliability, when it comes to customer service, when it comes to support for integrations and collaborations and stuff like that. I think this is currently, although it's maybe not too interesting to talk about because it's just a really strict process to be honest, but I think that's actually where the main focus should be currently in the industry. We're working on a lot of new ideas where the overall safety is always the main focus. We're a jump parachute company, so this is always our main product, but we have other solutions as well that we're working on or that we already have out on the market. But I think overall, getting to the next level of quality where just everybody knows, okay, every component is working perfectly, that's the most important thing.
It's really funny. So I'll use my own analogy now. So it's almost like a little bit like the distillery industry, making whiskeys and things like that. They're all about consistency. Like you'll have someone working at a distillery for 60 years and then a new person, their apprentice will come up and be like, guess what? Change nothing. It's working. This industry can learn from that, and we need to get there. It's like, stop focusing on the next thing. Make this thing the best possible thing you possibly can, and once it's there, change nothing.
Exactly.
Leave it. Work on the next thing. You can always have your experimentation. You can always do the next thing, but get this thing the most interoperable, reliable, consistent, documented thing you possibly can, just like they do in the medical industry, just like they do in the automotive industry, just like they do in the distillery industry. That is what this industry can learn lessons from.
Exactly,
I appreciate that mindset. I think it's definitely something that we need to keep an eye on.
This is where we as from Rescue Systems excel currently, because this is really a big focus of us. So we have so many ideas, and I always push my team, like, we need this, but in reality it's often good when we say, okay, just try to be the number one in what we're doing.
Do this really well.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's outstanding. Well, Andreas, so that's our episode for today. Everyone is having a great time. It's the last day, day 3 of Commercial UAV Expo, the NestGen Express. Jason and Andreas, I have Andreas. Andreas, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
This has been amazing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, and we're out. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Cheers.
Bye now.